Thank you for tuning in. I welcome you to yet another segment. Today, we will be talking about conflicts and how do we resolve those amicably amongst peers, team members, and even those within our personal and social circles. Before I get into that, however, I wish to thank Brendan Jackson. Brendan has added some value to me this week. And I am happy that he did that. Brendan, I appreciate you and I thank you for adding that value to me. So I wanted him to know that publicly. Thank you, Brendan. All right, so let's get into it. The conflict resolution piece. First off, know that conflict is inevitable. It's going to take place, it's going to happen, regardless of how close knit of a relationship you have with the teams, regardless of how great you are in terms of your skills, your leadership development, you will have conflicts no matter what level of leadership you are at. But conflict is inevitable. So that's the first thing. Expect it. And when you program yourself to really expect something and prepare for it, it sets you up to win when it happens. So keep in mind that it is going to happen. So sometimes it is avoidable. When you see certain situations, you are able to assess that situation and take a different course of action to either eliminate or lessen the conflict. However, there are some spaces where you will not be able to avoid that conflict. One thing to keep in mind that conflict is not, it's not personal sometimes. In workspaces, it is those differences that we have in personalities, in behaviors that cause us to sometimes be misaligned. So people are genuinely not targeting you, the individual, but the action that you have taken, the behavior, the word, the thing that you have said mainly cause some amount of discomfort to them. So they are reacting to that behavior, right? So that's something that you want to make sure that you are clear on. And as leaders, you set the tone for conflicts because if you are one that avoids the conflict altogether, don't address it, that's a very unhealthy place to be. So conflict is very healthy because you are able to see your differences and work those out. And when you work through a conflict with a particular person, your relationship with that individual is strengthened after that. So you want to be open-minded when we are dealing with conflicts that it is not a bad thing. It is not something that you should avoid altogether. I am not saying to go have confrontations and go create conflict, but I'm saying be more open-minded to embracing the conflict and resolving it without ensuring that every person within that situation also that we are addressing the behavior, which is the thing that they did or the thing that they said, and not attacking them personally or as an individual based on their characters and so on. So you want to be mindful of that. And you really have to set the tone for how do we resolve conflicts when they arise within the teams. There are times that you work amongst persons, but you don't take the time out to learn those behaviors of the people that are around you. So the behavioral patterns of those persons around you, what makes them tick, what makes them happy, what makes them sad, what are the boundaries, and you come up with those things very early. And most teams don't take the time to do the groundwork of learning each other, so we learn when we run into that problem or when we encounter that issue. And that's where the learning takes place because if something happens, we know what not to do the next time. So you want to make sure that that is something that you are also managing and also planning and preparing for effectively. How will we deal with our conflicts within the team when they arise? It's so important to set up boundaries when we're dealing with conflicts because in timing is also extremely important because we are sometimes so engrossed in the emotional aspect of the thing that it clouds your judgment. You're not able to think logically. So you want to give it some time to cool off before you enter that situation and trying to work out a resolution. There are some issues you will have to immediately address depending on the severity of those. However, in most situations, you want to ensure that both parties are in a space where they can really hear what are the things that you're saying. Because if you're all emotional, it makes it difficult for you to connect or to really listen. And most times when you address it the following day, you will find that the opinion may change, or someone may say, I know that I probably should have handled this differently. They're able to do that assessment when they have come to some level of calm within bring their emotions to some level of calmness. So another important point is you want to make sure that the emotional aspect of things are stable, but you don't want to leave that for too long. Certain things that become that are unaddressed for a prolonged period of time can really become major issues. And we're having conflicts or issues within our teams, but we are talking to people outside of the teams about the conflict that we're having within that team. So in the team, make sure that you are setting up some parameters. This is how we will treat each other. This is how we will work on our differences. This is how, so you set up those boundaries, and those what we call sometimes are non-negotiables, that regardless of what happens within the team, we will not we will operate within these lines, or we will not cross those lines. So take the time to really set the expectation early within the team on how are we going to manage or handle these types of situations. I have seen in my career leaders who are sometimes slamming doors, using profanity, sometimes avoidance to address the issues that they're having. And it's difficult to have a conversation. It takes a lot of courage to tell a person that, hey, something that you've done really offended me, or this thing that you said didn't really resonate well with me. And that takes a level of courage, but you have to continuously work on that relationship with those team members and continue to communicate with them when things are right and also when things are wrong. Usually we stay silent when we observe something, and we let that build up to that point where we cannot take anything else, and then we either quit or we say something or do something that we can't take back. So within that space, learn simple steps for communicating, how you feel about things that happen, things that you think may have crossed lines, or, someone who has a blind spot that they're not aware of. And as a leader, this is the part where your teammates or your subordinates will almost never tell you when you have a problem. They're afraid to do so because they're thinking that he or she may judge me. I don't want to be victimized. But it's so good to create a level of openness within your team that they can tell you, hey, Melissa, you are way in over your head here. There are some things that you are doing that is really affecting the team. And if you have a team that's able to give you feedback in that manner, then you will be able to have a better connection with them. And that in itself will make your performance improve in terms of how you are managing and leading that team. So embrace the conflict. It is not something that you should try to avoid at all possible costs. It is something that you have to look at in the growth. And growth is sometimes very painful. It's not pretty. It is sometimes very uncomfortable for you. And you have to be able to press through that no matter what. Because on the other side of that, you will learn that, you have certain strengths and skills within you that those conflicts bring them out, and you didn't even know that you had the capabilities to do some of those things. So extremely important. Take some time to manage your emotions. Very important to manage your emotions and ensuring that the things that you say are leaving people with their dignity intact. You maintain that respect and you address the behavior that you are seeing and not the person. It is very important to talk to the behavior and not necessarily to the persons. Avoid using tags such as you are X, you are Y, you are lazy, you are unproductive. Those are terms that label people's characters. So you want to make sure that you are addressing the thing that they did and not the person themselves. So that is the point I will leave you with for today. I hope that there was some value in the information that I provided. And I thank you again for staying tuned. And I will see you in the next segment.